Firefighters are waging a war many of us don't see. It's a war you can't train for. It's a war against cancer.
We fight plenty fire, but we don't need to get cancer.
Earlier this month, reporter Tiffany Liu showed us how firefighters face a 9% higher chance of getting cancer and a 14% higher chance that they'll die from cancer. Our reporting highlighted how keeping gear clean can better protect them.
If we can reduce those numbers, if we can reduce one of them, then it's all worth it.
But costs associated with cancer care can be astronomically high. If many of us get hurt on the job, we can apply for workers' comp to get help paying for medical bills. But for many firefighters who get cancer, their claims are denied.
Just let it all out.
This is what cancer looks like. To Donald Mosier, it's bottle after bottle.
Oh God, I would have to look at the names because they've all got either generic names or...
All these medications are for his side effects from chemotherapy.
This is breakfast.
You see, Don is a career firefighter.
I was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer.
He's now the mayor of Argyle, but Don spent 24 years fighting fires, 18 of that with the Bedford Fire Department. Doctors told him that's likely the cause of his cancer.
They found that it was not genetic in nature. It was due to exposures, environmental, more than likely traced back to my exposures as a firefighter.
After Don was diagnosed,
June of 2017. June 29th.
He tried hormone and immunotherapy.
You know, it hits me.
Neither worked. Now he's on his 4th round of chemo and his cancer is beyond his prostate.
It can be tough.
Don filed for workers' compensation through the city of Bedford, where he left in 2002.
But there's time, there's a little more time for that.
His claim was denied.
Now it's not really the time for this.
Don is not alone. Many firefighters also have their workers' comp claims denied. The Texas Department of Insurance tracks this, and between 2012 and 2018, 168 firefighters and EMTs filed cancer claims. 146 of those were denied. So that's 87% that were rejected. That's a lot of firefighters who say they're not getting the medical care paid for that they deserve to have paid for. Why is that so many?
Yeah, well, until recently, it was really hard for a firefighter to prove that their cancer was related to their job.
And what makes that hard?
Well, you know, the science in this area is still growing, and cancer just is such a complicated thing. But we do know there's a consensus now that there are 11 types of cancers that are most commonly found in firefighters caused by their job. And so now there's a new law that is helping firefighters that are diagnosed with one of those 11 cancers.
This is Senate Bill 2551. Attorney Rocky Dunn is breaking it down for us.
There are a number of differences between the old law and the new law. For example, before there was a question about what types of cancers would be covered or were not covered.
There's now a list of 11 covered. Cancers of the stomach, colon, rectum, skin, prostate, testes, and brain. Also non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, multiple myeloma, malignant melanoma, and renal cell carcinoma.
Automatically covered, as opposed to getting into a fight between the insurance company.
A few caveats, though. The firefighter must be diagnosed during employment, be a firefighter for at least 5 years, not have had cancer when starting the job, respond regularly to fire, radiation, or carcinogenic scenes, and not smoke or be married to a smoker.
It forces the insurance company to come in and disprove the presumption that the first responder got it through their job.
The Texas State Association of Firefighters pushed for this law. President John Riddle hopes it will speed up the process for those with 11 of the most common forms of cancer in firefighters.
That's a huge deal.
It's very huge. It's a great big step forward for us in the fire service. We still have a lot of work to do, but that was a huge step forward.
That law went into effect in June. So do we know what's happened since June?
Well, David, it's only been 6 months, so it's a little bit too soon to tell if it's working or not. You know, there's not enough claims that have been filed yet, but we do know that there are 2 Dallas firefighters who have pending claims, and we also know that statewide, at least 1 firefighter has already been rejected that had one of the 11 cancers on the list, and we know that the Texas State Association of Firefighters is planning to appeal that.
So we've been talking about 11 kinds of cancer, right?
Yes.
But obviously there are more than 11 kinds
Oh
of
yeah,
cancer.
there are plenty of firefighters that are being left out.
Cancer's not a pretty thing.
Brian Doss has been with Dallas Fire Rescue for 12 years. In 2017, he was diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia.
I never imagined a scenario that I wasn't invincible.
Leukemia is not one of the 11 cancers listed under the new law.
And what's the point of me even trying to file it? Because the likelihood of them approving it is pretty small.
He wants the state to include more types of cancer. And David Lindsay with the Dallas Firefighters Association agrees.
Do you think it is a step forward, though?
In some areas, I do think it is.
But he has concerns about the law because there are some cancers not on the list that in the past have been covered by workers' comp, like pancreatic and lung cancer.
Pancreatic cancer, we've already proven that that is job related, and workman's comp has accepted that. So going forward, being it's not on that list, are they going to deny that, or are we, you know, as the precedent that we set earlier, is that going to continue on or not?
Back to the 11 kinds of cancer.
Yes.
We know that there are only 11 kinds in this bill because, like most legislation, everything is a compromise.
Yeah, absolutely. So on one hand, we have the Texas State Association of Firefighters, and they're obviously in favor of more coverage. And then on the other hand, we have the Texas Municipal League, who represent more than 2,000 local governments in the state of Texas, and they're the ones that have to pay for the medical bills.
There are a lot of cities across Texas are self-insured, or what they like to say are self-insured. A lot of them are part of the TML risk pool. And those initially, those companies are who initially was against it because it of course costs a lot of money to treat cancer. And so they were initially against it, but we did spend a lot of time during the session and during that legislative process working with TML and those insurers to come to an agreement on what that bill needed to look like. And ultimately, SB 2551 went through the process with the support of all the parties.
So of course we did reach out to the Texas Municipal League, and they told us, quote, "We can't help you out on this issue."
So we know that there are more cancers out there than these 11, but also there's another issue with a whole class of people that aren't covered as well.
Yeah, we know that retirees are also left out.
We circle back to Don Mosier, who's on his 4th round of chemotherapy. Under the new law, he is also not covered even though he has one of the 11 cancers.
It doesn't help me.
Don is left out because he's retired and wasn't diagnosed on the job. But he knows prostate cancer can take years to develop.
Do I expect to get benefits out of this? Probably not.
The Texas State Association of Firefighters is working on helping retirees in the next legislative session, but it's likely too late for Don.
The speed of government is slower than a glacier moves, and that is horrible.
His cancer spread from his prostate to the bone sacrum, left iliac, and his lungs.
This is going to be something that I am not going to beat.
Whatever time Don has left, he will use to fight for this cause.
We've learned today, as with many things, change can be incremental. Senate Bill 2551 is certainly an important step in the right direction, but the legislature works at its own speed, and so does cancer.
I'll know it's over when I hit the ground, but until then, it's a fight.
Thing is, the city of Bedford is part of the Texas Municipal League, so the city says TML handled Don's claim.
So we do have some good news, an update from Don tonight. He got a scan this week, and it showed the tumors in his lungs are actually reducing in size, which is really great news.
Yeah, it's the best thing we could have hoped for. To hear more of our conversation with Don, just head to our WFAA YouTube channel. We'll also have information about free scans that can detect cancer. Just go to WFAA.com and click on this story.